So this is my Edison deck profile for my favourite Edison deck, being Blackwing. So I've been playing Blackwing pretty much since Edison and TCG. I've been off and on, of course, but it's always remained consistent as one of my absolute favourite decks ever, just because of the way it plays. It has a lot of different lines, and I'll go through them as well. This is also a sort of beginner's basic guide to Blackwing in Edison format as you go, but obviously it's also just, if you want the deck itself, you just skim through the video, it's fine. So, I'll start off with actually not the core. We started off with a one-off, which is Dark Arm Dragon. So it's a one of the format, but it's a really important card. A lot of just semi-dark decks even will play it. But you have Vayu and Blizzard and such to manipulate your graveyard, so this is a very important card. It does conflict with Royal Oppression, but it is a very, very good card. Then for the actual Blackwings, we've got 3 Sirocco the Dawn, so Mirror Breaker, it's the best normal summon, searches anything off Black Whirlwind. 3 Shura, this is your Battle Searcher. So this is arguably the single best card in Edison, arguably of course. But on its destruction of a monster in battle, you search a Blackwing from your deck with 1500 or less attack, and just special for free, with its effects negated, which is important for Vayu, because Vayu can't be used for a Synchro Summon while it's on field, but you negate the effects, you can still use it for a Synchro Summon. And yeah, it searches most of the other names besides Sirocco off of Black Whirlwind, which is crazy. It's just a big normal summon, so I don't think it really can't get over like Alias. Then you've got Kalute, you've got Sirocco, because Sirocco can buff your Blackwings, or one Blackwing, equal to the number of all Blackwings on field, which is lovely. It's such a powerful card. Bora, it's another normal summon. It's also a special summon that pierces. So something you can do for game is you can normal a Sirocco, special a Bora. This will let you Sirocco effect target Bora. You've now got a 3700 piercer. If you've got, say, Kalute, which is a hand trap that will increase your Blackwing's attack by 1400, stacks as well. So quite often you can sandbag versus say Raikou decks because you're not great against them, but you can attack Bora, double Kalute, you're dealing 4000 plus damage. It's so good. A limited card is Gale. It's arguably the best hero in the format. Maybe Plague is, but I'd still say Gale is. Especially if you control Blackwing, obviously comes up a lot. And Surgical of Black Whirlwind, and once per turn you can target a monster your opponent controls, half its attack and defense permanently. Really good. Gets you over a bunch of stuff, pieces like Pachycephalo, if that's a problem for you. It shouldn't be, but if it is. I run 3 Blizzard. I've seen a lot of people playing 2. I think 3's better. Purely, even with Repression, 2 in the deck, in this deck at least. Just because it increases the amount of pressure you can put on, and the amount of top decking situations where you're just actively winning. Because this into Armed Wing, or Brilnak, or Goyo, any of those is so powerful. It's such a strong push, and it says up values as well. I would never leave home with less than 3. I get 2, but I think 3 is correct. 2 Vayu. I was actually running 1 before, just 1 Vayu, because to be honest, you don't really need 1. If you resolve a Shura into a Vayu, you're already winning the game. But with 2, you've got a lot more longevity, and it's been a big uptick in not Dragon Turbo, Disaster Dragon recently. And 2 means you've got more of a grind game, more it means you can go for more synchros, more pushes, and punish the slower starts, and that is invaluable. So for all the monsters, you don't run Trag, you don't run Gauze. Trag's not needed, you've got enough monsters, and it's just, you have very level, sure, but if you can run Trag, you can run Trag. I prefer having a lot more versatility. I'd cut a Vi or a Blizzard for it personally. You run Gauze, you run so much back row, you just don't need it. Speaking of back row, we've got best card in the deck, which is Black Whirlwind. Better than Shura even. So when you're active on the field, whenever Blackwing's normal summoned, you get to search one with less attack. Now, things like Bottomless Trap Hole will be this, it will exile the card before it has attack on field, but this is still cracked card. It's a 2 for a really good reason, it's so powerful. Next we have 2 Book of Moon. A lot of people run 3, I like 2. Weirdly enough, it is the old adage of you want to see it sometimes and all the time. It's a really good card when you're winning, or you kind of put pressure on them. As a top deck, it's just not great. It's basically a negate one attack, which is fine, but in the format of Raikou it's a bit rough. And things like Doom Cowl are not as popular, so you don't really need it as much. But it's still nice to have it too. You can ride a 3. I think a lot more power cards are important. Background move, we have MST Heavy Storm. Cold Wave is a consideration. It's a very aggressive deck, but Cold Wave is a consideration because you can put a lot more pressure on. I would also consider playing Cold Wave if you play Mistral, the Silver Shield, which is just a level 2 tuner. Purely because that lets you make... Well, it's a sticky level 2 tuner. And that's important because it means you can make Synchros next turn after you Cold Wave and then put a huge amount of bodies on board and just going for the kill as fast as possible. MST and Heavy Storm are just the 2 base sets. Heavy wipes the whole board, makes you go for a kill. MST can snipe back row, things like D prisons that threaten you, anything like that. Mirror forces, such and such. A lot of consistency, so 1, would run more probably. Braincon is another OTK tool. You can Braincon any number of cards, synchros, control pieces, things like Red MD, Blue Eyes even. Stardust is really good to have. And yeah, Energy Life Points is nothing. It's a great tool to have. Mind Control's good if you need more of an aggressive shell. I find with all these traps you don't really need it. Speaking of traps, we've got a lot of them. Triple Icarus Attack. It's a disgusting card. Your opponent targets your Blackwing. Sure, flip Icarus Attack. Doesn't really matter. Pop 2 your cards. Pop 3 even potentially if they've used the card to try out the Blackwing. This can also tribute things like Vayu, summoned off of Shura. That's basically a +2, just for free, because you've also got Vayu in Graveyard. Crazy card. Anything less than 3 in this deck is silly, unless they randomly decide to unban Blackwings for a couple of tournaments, but there's no way that would happen. To run Oppression, a lot of lists run 1, some even run none. I think is essential at 2. Purely just because of how much special summoning is prevalent in Edison. You really want to put pressure on. Your normal summons are all really big, and even something like normal summoning a Blizzard and having it negated for 800, that's still 800 burn damage, which sounds like nothing, but it adds up over the game, and you're more often than not going to be putting more pressure than your opponent can do. And if you're not, that's what the side deck's for. And the consistency as well is very important. Having access to it as much as you can is essential. You don't really want to be caught versus a combo deck or even like a Heroes late game with Miracle Fusion, with things like Future Fusion, Dragon's Mirror even. It's very important to have a way to beat it. So I cannot overstate just how good Roll Oppression is a card. I get one. Sometimes you just don't want to see it. You want to play more of an aggressive version, but post board is really nice to have. And I like to pre-board a little bit with this deck because you've got so many free wins with just how strong the engine is. You can afford to play some of these more risque cards. A very strange card is Legacy of Yasgarasu. Essentially, this is just Jar of Greed. Now, Jar of Greed is not exactly playable, but it's very good in this deck specifically because of how much back row you play and how much hate people are going to use. If your opponent, if you have, say, a set Oppression, a set Icarus, and a set Yata, they Heavy Storm you, flip Legacy, it's a -1, flat 0 even. But if there's an MST it, that's a +1 for you. They've used an MST to pop something that's just going to draw a card anyway. And it gets you more into your engine because of how important Black Whirlwind is, important your normal summons chains are. It's very strangely playable in a non-Exodic sort of combo deck. And I really liked it. I was not big on it. I was maining Skill Drain for a while before. I've actually cut it completely from my list now. I think it's not great at the moment with the amount of big beat sticks we have. Things like just dragons in general kind of really hurt, and heroes as well. Heroes have huge normal summons. But yeah, great card. We've also got 2-dimensional Prism, just because Battle Tricks, you want to protect your Blackwings, and the broken one-offs, we got Mirror Force, Torrential, Dushu, Judgment. No. Destroy your opponent's hand, play around everything. Tribute, wipes the board, and you come back. And Mirror Force is Mirror Force. It's the best battle trick ever created for an old format. Next we have the Extra. Extra is pretty simple. We've got Silverwind. This is your last value target. Very, very rarely you'll make it, but like Blizzard and 2 Kalutes, or a Vayu that's negated a Shura and a Kalut, I guess. You never make it. It's really just a value target. If you do, it's still a pop 2, but it's nothing special. Dark End is a reason to play the Dark decks. It's that good. It just sends a monster every turn. Really nice. Thought Ruler stops targeting, gains life points. Also really important is that roll oppression. It makes you much more competitive in the mirror. If there are also remaining roll oppression, if you can get it out, it's so good. Colossal Fighter, it's a sticky little bitch. And Stardust Dragon protects everything. That's the 8s. 2 Armor Master and a Black Rose. Armor Master is what you're going to make normally off Gale and Gale and Jura. Or just a value. It's still a big boy, it's 25, that's quite nice, but it's also a battle immune, so some decks can struggle with that. Things like Dragon Turbo don't really out it very well. Sure, you still take the damage, but even then. Black Rose is Black Rose support type. 2 Armwing is where you're normally summoning a Vayu and Sirocco. And then Goyo and Brio, 2 best 6s. And we've got Allo Just Catasta, Magical Android, and Fortress Dragon. For the side deck, mine's a little experimental. I'm not 100% on it at the moment, but I think it's still very workable. Double Sidra for machine decks with Chimera Attack. It's great. Things like Machina are really strong. I have a lot of my meta. 2 Fossil Liner for dragons and other special summon decks. It's great against Hero especially. This is where the fun begins. 2 Electric Virus, 1 Puppet Plant. So, these are weird cards. Electric Virus is probably one of the best side deck cards I've ever had. Takes Fortress if you've got another card in hand, is great. Even then, it's not that important. Because more often than not, it's worth having the Fortress. Or you can take dragons. Things like Red MD, Blue Eyes, Stardust, RDA even. Just beats over everything. And then Puppet Plant is very niche ones. It's a Spellcaster and Warriors. 6 Sam is actually quite a tough matchup for this deck. So it's actually in there for that specifically. Spellcasters also take Arcanite Magician, which is a really weirdly good target, because if you don't got that much to pop, you might as well just take it. Or you got something to synchro with, it's just nice if extra synchro material. Think of it as, say, Brain Control 2, or 2 and 3, or even 4. It depends what deck you're facing, really. 1 Soul Release. This is in here for Vayu, and for Disaster Dragon, and for Frogs as well. It's slower than Crow, and I love Crow, but I've been finding this has been so much more of an upside because of how greedy Frogs are as a deck, that it's been providing so much more advantage. As well as, it's also 5 targets, so you can snipe random stuff, whereas Crow only hits 1 if they've got 2 tree balls. If you've only got 1 Crow, you're still losing to the engine. 2 Skuldring is nice in the sideboard. You can definitely cut it if you want to. I think it's amazing versus Raikou decks. Light Imprisoning, Light's one still a deck. 2 Bottomless, for Mirror mainly, and then Deck Devastation Virus. You contribute, say, an Armed Wing for this, anything like that, and it still ruins a lot of small decks. So yeah, any thoughts about the list, any questions? And that was my Edison deck profile for Blackwings. Peace.